for the arts. They have put on such amazing performances, such as movies, ballets. They have visiting people who lecture, who sing, and basically they've had everything and everything in between. So hopefully you're a little bit more excited, and if you have any questions about the Stony Brook campus itself, we're happy to answer them. But for students who are interested in applying, our applications are open for fall 2020. So the students who are looking to apply as freshmen, they would apply by January 15th. That is our priority deadline, so especially if you're interested in honors or scholarships consideration, you definitely want to apply by that January 15th deadline and get all your documents in at that time as well. We do accept the Common App, the SUNY app, or the Coalition app. Any of those are considered equally. You'll need to submit one. And then once you apply, you're given access to a student portal, which provides information about your application, where you stand, what you're missing, everything from withdrawing to changing a major. It's all available and really accessible within the portal. We try to make it nice and easy. For those who are applying, we do look for very specific required documents.
Yeah, so one of the things that you have to submit is your transcripts. So that can be sent through your SUNY or your Common App, or it can be emailed or mailed to us by your school. We also require test scores. So if you've taken the ACT, you would send an official ACT score report through the ACT website. If you took the SAT, you would send it through the College Board website. Letters of recommendation must also come directly from your recommender, and they can email that to us or mail it if they prefer.
Yeah, and just so you know, we do super score the SAT, but not the ACT at this time. So if you do take more than one SAT, just submit all scores. We're only going to look at the highest, and we'll combine the best two sections to create an overall score for admissions consideration. And we're really going to look at everything from Regent scores to trends in your grades to the types of classes you've taken. So we want students to be both challenging themselves as well as really looking into what classes they're going to both excel in, as well as what can they take that will challenge themselves and find the right balance that works for them. For our freshman application, if you look at our class profile, you can see that the middle 50% are very strong students, but this is not a hard cutoff for our admissions criteria. It really just shows you around about what our previous class has looked like. We have taken students who have come in under and above, obviously, for consideration. But we look for an ACT score of around a 26 to a 32 with a 91 to a 97 GPA and a 100-point scale, and a 1250 to a 1420 on the SAT. These are not hard cutoffs because we don't have any hard cutoffs. We're really going to take a lot of things into consideration. Those are part of the numbers we look at, but we're also going to look at supplemental materials, things like your essay, your activities, types of courses you've taken, and any letter of recommendation that you have to submit to us. Last year, we did have 37,000 applications. We had about a 44% admit rate. So we do have a large number of applicants here at Stony Brook, and we do take really everything into consideration and try to review as much of the information that you provide as possible. In addition to our general criteria, we do have higher criteria for students who are interested in the honors programs. Honors programs include Honors College, University Scholars, and WISE, which is Women in Science and Engineering. And those programs typically look for around a 1350 to 1550 SAT, or above a 28 or 29 ACT, and at least a 93 GPA. And then in addition to that, they're going to really look in depth into the information that you provided, letters of recommendation, majors you're applying for, activities you've been involved in, but we'll really get into more depth with what the honors criteria is at a later session that we'll be doing online, I believe, in December. In addition to that, we also have programs for students who are in New York State and want to be considered for EOP, which is the Educational Opportunity Program. This provides students who fall up just below our admissions criteria but have extenuating financial need. They can apply through our EOP program, and we encourage students to consider that option as well if they are citizens of the New York State. Do you want to talk a little bit about our restricted majors before we get into that?
Sure. So some of our programs are under restricted majors, which means that in addition to the general Stony Brook criteria, you may need like a physics class or a calculus class and perform well in like your science and math classes in order to gain admission into that specific major. So some of these majors include like the majors in our College of Engineering and Applied Science. So all your engineering majors,
computer science, information systems, and things like that. In addition to that, we have technically our business program is restricted as well. And then there's programs that also have like special criteria, like our music major, where you have to do an audition, creative writing, which requires a creative writing portfolio, and things like that. Outside of that, we have pretty standard criteria across most majors here at Stony Brook. For transfer applicants, look for a minimum of about a 2.8 to a 3.0, with the restricted majors that we just talked about looking for a little bit higher GPA of a 3.2. So for those interested in business or College of Engineering and Applied Sciences, like computer science, you do need a minimum of 3.2 with very specific course requirements, things like calc, physics, and for computer science, a set of computer science courses that are required. But for the transfers, pretty standard, 24 credits completed with a 3.0 or higher. This is a great opportunity for students who may not be admitted as a freshman, who want to look into coming after their first year. If you complete 24 credits and achieve that 3.0 or 2.8 or 3.2, depending what program you're applying for, we definitely take that into consideration and encourage students to complete a transfer application if they're not admitted as freshmen. For international students, we will be having your own virtual chat coming up on November 13th. So this is applies to students who are F and J visas and want to know about those specific criteria who need to get a visa from Stony Brook. You can still apply for students who are international as if you're a U.S. citizen but studying abroad, and we take everything into consideration just like general students. For international students, we also look for English proficiency and financial documentation, but only if you're applying for an F1 or J1 visa. Anything you want to add?
So I know a lot of students in high school take AP classes, as well as they may have taken a college course through their high school. So students can transfer into 30 test-based credits, including AP, and up to 84 college credits awarded from an accredited institution. So that's really nice because then you can come in and you can already have some of your Stony Brook curriculum requirements already fulfilled if you've taken those advanced courses in high school.
I do have several students who we teach like honor 101 courses for freshmen, and they could be anywhere from first year standing to sophomore to junior standing because of the amount of credits they have coming in. But you're still being involved in that first year experience with things like undergraduate colleges and honors programs. You wouldn't be considered a transfer student. And then the deadlines that are important, like I mentioned, are that January 15th deadline for first year students. And for transfers, the deadline for the fall is March 1st. So it's important to keep those dates in mind. And if you have any questions about what you need to submit, or if you have anything that you need to get in separately, you can always email us as well. Any additional questions?
Yeah, we have a question. The question is, are credits from a CUNY school transferable to a SUNY school like Stony Brook?
Sure. So we talked a little bit about those college-based credits and how they transfer in. College credits taken while in high school do transfer in as long as you've paid for the course and received an official college transcript after you've completed the class and have that sent here. So it's not automatic. What you do need to do is request the transcript from the college itself if you decide to enroll here, and have that sent to our school, and then we apply the credits towards graduation. Some credits are evaluated individually. Some are electives, some count as core courses. And some, if they go towards your major, are reviewed by the department. But everything is considered pretty strongly, and we do really encourage students to take those college courses because pretty much everything will transfer in as long as you get a C or higher.
Okay, we have another question, and it is, what program is for PreMed, and which would be better to choose for admissions for undergrad for PreMed?
Excellent question. We get that pre-med question all the time. And the best answer is that there is no one specific program that you should be applying for if you're interested in pre-med. Here at Stony Brook, we have an academic advising department specifically for pre-med students. And so we encourage them to take whatever major that they would like to be considered for. This can be history, music, English, bio, chemistry, even engineering students. You could really do anything and still complete the pre-med program because it is a track that we allow you to take the specific pre-med requirements and still have advising that prepares you for things like the MCATs. You were health science. Did you have any pre-med students in your program?
Yeah, we had a ton. We even had some that were double majored in like women's studies, business. So as Jacqueline was saying, it's more of a track. It just means that you're taking the required classes to get into medical school. But other than that, you can choose any major you would like. And I know a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, when we talk to especially the Stony Brook School of Medicine, they always say the same thing. You don't have to be a bio or even a hard science major in order to be pre-med. They really actually encourage students to kind of go beyond that and especially embrace some of the humanities programs because they want students who are well-rounded, can think critically, can do a lot of problem solving, and especially can write and communicate really effectively since that's such a strong requirement in the health field. Any other questions?
Yes, yeah, a bunch of questions here. Do you have early admission? If so, when is the deadline?
We don't have early admission here at Stony Brook. Though if you Google Stony Brook and early admission, something from 2007 will come up. That is no longer accurate. But we do have just one general deadline of January 15th. And we do encourage students to complete their application as early as possible because we will start reviewing applications end of December, beginning of January, and we roll out admission decisions over the course of January through April 1st. All freshman admission decisions will be finalized by April 1st.
Great. And here's just another question. We have a whole bunch. How do you help students who have an IEP?
Sure. For students who have an IEP, you still need to meet the same admission criteria as general Regents diploma students. So you want to make sure that you have your SAT or your ACT completed. You completed all the requirements as well for general graduation. And because Stony Brook is a fairly rigorous school, if you are not admissible as a general admit as a freshman, we encourage you to take those 24 credits at a community college or do the joint admission program through one of the local community colleges, especially if you're in the state of New York.
Okay. Should you submit both ACT and SAT scores if you have taken both?
Absolutely. I usually encourage students to take at least one ACT and two SAT, like at minimum, if possible. Not everyone has access to that many tests, but if you can, because we do super score the SAT, but we also consider the ACT just as equally. And the ACT has 6 components, which is very different from the SAT. So some students might do stronger on that. And we're only ever going to look at whatever the best score is between the SAT and the ACT. We'll just consider the absolute highest.
Okay. Do you consider the application holistically? This person is saying, because as someone who isn't the best test taker, I want to make sure that you consider everything.
We do really consider everything. However, the SAT and the ACT, as well as GPA and high school transcript, are pretty important here. So if students do fall below a certain threshold, we might not be able to take them into consideration for admission. But that's because we have fairly rigorous coursework, so we want to make sure students are established for the best possible success here at Stony Brook. So if they're not admitted as a freshman because the scores fall below a certain threshold, we really encourage them to take that 24 credits and apply as a transfer.
Okay, and the next question is someone saying that they want to major in health science. And for the letter recommendation, do you recommend teachers from math and science subjects, or does that matter?
It doesn't really matter, though it would be, anyone applying for a science should have either a math or science recommendation. Do you want to talk about a little bit about your application process?
Yeah, so I made sure that at least one of my recommenders was a math or science, but I also had like one of my English teachers send a letter of recommendation. Usually, like Jacqueline was saying, it's preferred to kind of have like a math or science if you are applying for a science program. But
especially, yeah, for health science, that's fine. For engineering, that's really where it's going to get a little bit more specific, where we really do want math and science, because we need to see really strong grades as well as recommendations and things to back that up. And the math score on either the ACT or the SAT as well. Like we talked a little bit about engineering before, but I do want to specify for the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences, this includes majors like computer science, which most people don't think about, as well as computer engineering, technology systems management, information systems, biomedical engineering, chemical and molecular engineering, electrical engineering. All of those programs are housed under that one area, and that is a restricted major. And what that means is that as high school students, you really need to absolutely have, at minimum, calculus and physics, at least by your senior year, even if it's in progress, when you're applying for that program. If you don't have that program, we do offer some consideration for students who are only missing one or two components, what's called an area of interest. So those students would come in with an area of interest in those programs in the engineering area or applied sciences, and they would be able to complete prerequisites through the department and officially declare their major as a current student here. But it's always, always, always better, can't emphasize this enough, to apply for the major that you're interested in, and don't apply. So if you are completely undecided, apply undecided, that's absolutely fine. But if you're interested in one of our restricted programs, it's always better to apply directly to the program, because sometimes it can be hard as a current student to meet the criteria and officially declare it while you are here, since they have such limited space. Any other questions?
Yes, lots of questions.
Love it.
Okay, the next
I feel like I'm on a game show.
If you apply for the EOP program and are denied, will you be admitted
for general
admission?
So what happens for EOP applicants is they are first reviewed because they applied for EOP for general admission, and they can fall into one of three categories. They can fall into, well, several categories really. Academically unqualified, and if a student is academically unqualified for EOP, they wouldn't be academically qualified for general admission, and so we would take that into consideration. If a student is academically qualified for EOP, they then move on to the financial consideration. If they are then financially eligible, then they might be admitted to the EOP program. If they are financially ineligible, because there are two components, the academic and the financial, if they're financially ineligible, then they're considered for general admission first before getting a final decision. And then finally, if the student is applying for EOP and they are overqualified, they get a nice little note saying, hey, you're too smart. I'm just kidding. You fall above the criteria and you are going to be considered for general admission only, which means if you are admitted, you are not admitted to the EOP program. So those are the four different areas that students who apply for EOP are considered for.
Okay, great. So someone is asking if you can explain the rolling admission.
So we don't have rolling admission in the way that some schools do, which is, it's funny because some schools use it like in so many different ways. Some schools do it as they are rolling admission through the first day of class, and they're just constantly going to be considering students. We just have a general admission deadline, which is January 15th. We sometimes accept applications past that deadline, but they're not considered for honors and not necessarily for scholarship. So we really encourage students to get in their documents by that time. And then we will finalize all admission decisions for freshmen by that April 1st deadline. So it's not really rolling because we do have hard deadlines, and we really do eventually do cut off all freshman applications, usually by the end of February, early March.
Okay. Does applying earlier improve your chances of receiving merit scholarships?
Yes, technically, because the deadline is January 15th. If you want to be considered for merit scholarship, you definitely, as long as you apply prior to that deadline, you're fine. But getting it in by December is always beneficial because we do award a lot of our scholarships to the students who are highly qualified and fall into that criteria in the beginning. And then students, once awarded scholarship, we definitely do stop awarding it after a certain date, and I think that's usually around January 15th, between January 15th and February 1st. So you want to make sure you get your application in and complete by checking on the portal what you're required to submit in order to be taken into consideration. We don't have so some of the questions we might eventually get are, what are the scholarship criteria? We don't have specific scholarship criteria because it changes every year. It depends on the applicant pool. So it really will vary from year to year because it depends on the scholarship available, as well as the level and quality of the students who are applying. But typically the top 10% of our class are scholarship eligible, and then we award based on that. And there's no special application for scholarships. It is automatic. So a student applying for admission will automatically be considered for a scholarship. You don't need to submit a separate application. I'm just going to keep asking questions before they come in.
And this question is about applying to honors and where they would submit their honors essay.
That is a great question because this year we actually changed it. And I know Saba knows the answer, so I'm going to let her give it.
So you can submit your honors supplemental essay on your Stony Brook portal. After you submit your application, if you've already done so, then you know that you receive an email with your login information. If you haven't submitted your application yet, after you submit it and it's processed, you will receive an email. You're going to have all your login information. So you can do a lot of things on this new portal. You can submit your honors essays. You can submit any other supplemental documents you would like to upload on there. You can check the status of your application. You can see which documents you're still are still required to be sent to Stony Brook, such as like your transcripts or your test scores. So yeah, that's the first year that we started doing that.
Yes, and it's much easier. For students who are applying via the SUNY app, you will have to indicate your honors preference and what honors programs you want to apply to on the portal. You won't be able to do it on the application at all, which is new this year. For students who submit the Common App, you can indicate the honors preferences that you have, but you can always update them through our deadline of January 15th within the portal and upload your honors essay, which basically just asks, why do you want to be considered for the honors program that you specify? You can apply for more than one. So you can apply for University Scholars and Honors or WISE and University Scholars, as well as our Scholars for Medicine and Scholars for Dental Medicine programs within the SUNY portal and submit all supplemental essays like she mentioned. Any research or any other PDF documents that you want to upload can be uploaded through our portal. Really easy.
And just because I know we also get this question a lot, even if, let's say, you weren't accepted into an honors program, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be considered for admission into this overall university.
You're first considered for general admission, then and if admitted, then the honors committees start reviewing those applicants who were admitted and applied to the honors programs. So they can't take your admission away if you don't get into an honors program. So you're first considered for general admission and then for the honors program that you applied for.
Okay, great. How many recommendations do you need and how do I submit them?
So recommendations, we do recommend at least one for general admission. And if you're applying for one of our honors college, University Scholars or WISE, we recommend two. One should come from a guidance counselor or a teacher, but your second one can kind of come from anywhere. We still recommend though something related to your academics. So you can talk about the person you are, whether it's in school or through a club or activity, but definitely have at least one very strong academic recommendation, if not two.
And your recommender would send your letter of recommendation to us. They can email it to enroll@stonybrook.edu or they can mail it to Stony Brook.
They can also upload it if you apply through the Common App, they can upload it through the recommender portal in the Common App. But if you apply through SUNY, you're definitely going to want them to email it to us. Easiest way to get to us. Any other questions?
Yes, lots of questions. Let's see.
Trying to make sure we didn't cover everything already.
Can you explain the process for the nursing program?
Sure. So nursing here is a very unique program. Freshmen can apply pre-nursing. And what that means is that you would complete the first 2 years similar to our health science program. You would take similar courses to them and complete all the nursing prerequisites. And then at the end of your sophomore year, you would apply for admission into the BSN program. Admission is not necessarily guaranteed. because there are very specific criteria, very specific GPA requirements. Like I think they look for a minimum of a 2.0, but it's really closer to a 3.6. I know this seems like a big disparity, but at minimum the state requires 2.0, but here at Stony Brook, it is a very restricted program with a very small cohort. So they have to make sure that they can accommodate the students that are going to really excel in the program. So they really do usually look for about a 3.6. And so as freshmen, you'd apply for pre-nursing, and you'd be advised as pre-nursing during your time here. As transfers, you apply for health science, and then make sure that you're completing any pre-nursing prerequisites that you were missing. If you are a transfer student who has completed all the prerequisites, you can apply directly to our nursing school, and they have their own application and their own review portal. So for students who attend sometimes one of our local community colleges like Suffolk or Nassau and complete the nursing prerequisites there, they can apply directly to health science school in order to complete the nursing degree. Anything to add? Did you know any nursing students when you were in this program?
Yeah, the nursing is a huge like interest of a lot of students here on campus. We have a lot of pre-health students here on campus. And it's nice because you end up taking the same classes or the same prerequisites together. Even though everyone has their own interests, it's nice to still get to know other people who want to go into different programs.
Absolutely. The other thing to consider is that you might come in as pre-med or pre-health or pre-nursing and then realize there is so much more to the medical field. Exactly. There's so much more to the medical field than you ever thought possible. I don't know if we have anymore, but it used to be medical dosimetry was always the one I was like, what is that? I still don't remember anymore. But there's like radiological technology. There's, what are the other areas of health science?
We have, so within the health science major, you choose a specific concentration. Some concentrations you complete within the 4 years of your undergrad, and some are an extra year. Mm-hmm. So they have anywhere from emergency and critical care, public health, disability studies, polysomnographic technology,
one of our newest ones.
Dosimetry, anesthesiology.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So
and then rad tech.
They have something for everyone's interest.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And things you might not have thought about before. Yeah. Most people, whenever I talk to a freshman especially, you know what you know. You know what you've had experience with. Your aunt might be a nurse, or you know someone in the medical field, so you know doctors and nurses. And that same thing goes for anything. I want to be an astronaut, but then you discover that you love this other very specific area of physics or something like that. It's so easy to recognize the broad kind of career paths that we've heard about. Yeah. But then once you get in college, that's really where you're going to discover kind of more nuanced paths you never have thought about, or the research opportunities like we talked about, to really give you that hands-on experience to kind of help you figure out what the path that's right for you is. Not to discourage anyone, nursing is a fantastic option. It's just that there's so many different paths here at Stony Brook, which is fantastic because you want to make sure that all your options are open.
And that's the great thing about Stony Brook, because we are a research institution. They're very up to date with like all the different like career paths, and even whether it be in medicine or like when we did like all the atmospheric science programs. So everything is really up to date. And
I love following SBU weather on social media because they're like my favorite for local weather. But the atmospheric sciences has a fantastic program and a camera right on top of our hospital that has just this amazing view of anytime we get storms. It's so cool. Our SOMAS department has a snowflake camera. So when it snows, they get these really high resolution images of snowflakes, which is really cool. And so these are areas that people might not necessarily think about, but we have such great opportunities. And I think something like 50% of freshmen end up changing their major anyway. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunities to really give you experience in all those different areas. And to tie that together, we have our Stony Brook curriculum. Most schools have core requirements, and so ours are within these outcomes. So instead of just saying you need to have a history, an art, an English, a math, we have things like quantitative problem solving, studying the natural world, foreign languages for non-CEAS students, arts, what am I missing? Humanities, tech. Yeah, and these kind of are almost cross-pollinated, like across the spectrum area. So one area This study of the natural world can include any type of science course, as well as other areas. Tech could include art courses and engineering courses and so many other different things. So it really gives you the opportunity to kind of get your hands in a lot of different areas that you might not have thought to take otherwise. That was a lot of information. More questions?
Yeah, this is a Facebook question.
Ooh.
This student is graduating from Suffolk, and graduating from Suffolk in the fall and wants to know when they should apply.
That's a great question. So they're graduating this fall, I think?
Yeah,
doesn't matter. If you're applying for a spring semester, the deadline for transfer students is November 1st. I'm so used to saying January. It is November 1st. However, that is not a hard deadline. We'll be considering applicants until space is filled. So we accept applicants past the November 1st deadline on a space available basis. If you're applying for a restricted major, you want to get that application in as soon as possible. But for those applying for non-restricted majors, you still want to get your application in quickly, but just know that if things get in just after the deadline, we're still going to accept it right now. All right.
Okay. Do you require an SAT essay?
So the SAT essay is technically optional. We do take the score into consideration for writing placement, but we do have other options for students who want to take the who don't take the essay for the SAT or the ACT. But the two parts that we're primarily going to look at are the verbal critical reading and the math sections.
Okay. Great. What's the difference between university scholars and honors college?
So those are all great questions and questions we get all the time, so I love this. University Scholars is one of our larger scholars programs. It is usually around 200 incoming freshmen. It is more service-based than our honors college, which I'll get into in a second. It allows you to take a scholars freshman seminar and a faculty-led freshman seminar in the second semester that is specific to scholar students, as well as complete things like priority housing, priority registration. Honors College also gets priority housing and registration, but it is more a curriculum-based program. So it is for students who want to take honors-specific courses. You graduate with your honors degree, and your core classes, that Stony Brook curriculum I mentioned before, is mostly covered by the honors curriculum. They also all live together, whereas university scholars can be more spread out. Honors college students all live in the Tabler quad, and they are really, like I said, more curriculum focused, and also a much smaller cohort, between 60 and 90 students per year.
Okay, great. Next question. If I were to apply with my current SAT score and then retake it in December, would that score be considered?
Yep, December is the last month that we can accept SAT scores that will definitely get here in time. So December scores typically come out within the first or second week of January. So they still come in by the deadline, and we will take that into consideration. And if it is higher, it will override your previous score, and we'll take that into consideration because we run all of our honors and scholarships around the same time in mid to late January. So usually as long as something's in by the deadline, then it should be fine. Anything taken in for January or later doesn't get here in time.
Okay, here's another honors question. And we do have an honors chat
Yes.
Specifically coming up. But the question is, can you apply for honors programs after being accepted?
So as she mentioned, the honors chat is going to be on December 4th. So you will have the honors advisor as well as another admissions counselor here to discuss things like the criteria, deadlines, and what the honors college is all about. But just to give you a general idea, the honors college does accept a very limited number of current students at the end of their freshman year, but because it is curriculum based, so you have to have certain GPA criteria, you have to apply for it. Because it's curriculum based, they can't accept anyone after their freshman year. So transfers are typically ineligible, and so only current students who start in their freshman year and have a certain GPA can apply for the honors college as current students.
Okay, great. What would you say the average SAT score that Stony Brook accepts?
So we want to show off our middle 50%. We usually look for about, you're right there, perfect, about a 1250 to a 1420. That is the middle 50%. So we have a handful of students who are around somewhere between 1180 and a 1250, and of course we get students above the threshold as well. But the middle ground is just to give you an idea about what the average student comes in. There is technically no hard cutoff, but we're really going to take everything into consideration, and especially if you're applying for those restricted majors, you're going to be on the higher end of our middle 50%.
Okay, this is a good question. Another good question. What puts Stony Brook ahead of the other SUNYs and technical schools in particularly computer science?
So computer science is far and away our most competitive major because it is such high demand here at Stony Brook, and it's high demand for a reason. It is a fantastic program with exceptional faculty results and specific programming within the major itself. I know they have everything from game design to computer programming and really everything you could ever want to do in computer science. We also have really fantastic computer science and college of engineering job fairs and internship fairs where we have huge corporations, everyone from Google to Canon to Facebook, all kinds of groups coming to campus to recruit our computer science and engineering students. It is also because of the lab size and things like that, a small program so that you're really getting this hands-on experience and research from day one, really getting within the courses all the experience that you would really need in order to be successful after graduation. Did you have any computer science students?
Yeah, and I know like a lot of my friends that graduated in computer science, they've actually gotten jobs at like Canon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
My camera's a Canon.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Is there a theater minor available? And if so, do I have to audition?
So glad you asked if it was a minor. It used to be a major here, but now we do just have the minor. However, it is still a very relevant program here. We have a Scholar Center for the Arts available, but anyone can technically declare a minor. So the theater minor does not require any kind of audition. The only area at Stony Brook that does require an audition is music. So the theater minor can be completed by any of our students, and we have a really fantastic and beautiful theater here on campus in the Scholar Center of the Arts and the Recital Hall.
Great. Okay, and typically, when would applicants be notified of their admission decision?
Frequently asked question. All freshmen are notified for the fall semester by April 1st. We really do try to get them done, everything done by the end of March, because you really have to make your admission decision by May 1st, which is a pretty standard deadline for the college decision day. May 1st is the pretty much national deadline for all schools. They can't make you decide before that. So we try to make sure you have at least a month, if not more, to have that decision. But we are going to be making decisions on an ongoing basis between January and April.
Okay, great question for Saba. Does this school have an accelerated occupational therapy program?
I'm actually in the master's occupational therapy program here. They unfortunately do not have the combined 5-year program, but I went here for undergrad. I just did a health science degree, and then I applied for the graduate OT program. And their program is 3 years. I'm currently a 2nd year now, but I do feel that like if you really want to do occupational therapy, doing the health science major really prepared me. Just having gone here for undergrad and then transferring to a graduate program, the transition was just a lot more easier. I knew like the area, and just like the work ethic you build here is just really helps prepare you for graduate school in general. In health science, you take a lot of classes regarding like healthcare and like the different parts of healthcare, and you take a lot of classes like anatomy, physiology, so you're very prepared for graduate programs such as occupational therapy.
Is that what you wanted to do when you applied for health science?
I didn't. I came in doing pre-PA, so, and then
physician's assistant,
and then I kind of was introduced to more areas in healthcare, and I realized that that was a better fit for me. and gladly Stony Brook had an OT program. So yeah, and it's really nice because we have the hospital on campus. So there's a lot of volunteer opportunities right across the street from the hospital. We also have the Long Island Veterans Home. We have a really great career center on campus. So let's say you're confused about how to go about getting volunteer or research opportunities, or just direct patient care experience. They really help you out with that. They sit with you one-on-one. You tell them what type of setting you would like to gain experience in, and they help link you and network with you to different opportunities that are available to you.
Yeah, we have not only the hospital on campus, but we also have a hospital in Southampton, and we're constantly expanding and really working with healthcare across Long Island in individual doctor's offices. I know my personal OBGYN is now a Stony Brook associate, so you really can have access to so many different areas in Long Island and within healthcare, anything. We also have a great healthcare management side for those who are interested in the healthcare side without going into the medical field. There's so many different opportunities, but we do have a physician's assistant program, physical therapy. Do we physical therapy?
Yeah,
okay.
We have physician assistant, physical therapy, occupational therapy. There's medical, the medical
technology.
Program. Yeah, we have a dental school, and we have like respiratory care, social work,
clinical lab studies.
Yeah, clinical laboratory sciences.
Polysomnographic technology,
yes.
which we always talk about. It's a study of sleep, in case you didn't know. I had to learn all about that. All right, more questions.
Okay, we are running out of time, so we just have time for a few more questions.
Okay.
This one is about, I'm a legal resident, green card holder, but I lived all my life outside of the United States, and I did my high school in my home country. Am I considered an international student?
So the great thing is when you're applying, you'll notice that there's no question asking, are you an international student? The question is always going to be about your citizenship. So if you're a permanent resident or a citizen of the United States, you're going to be viewed as a domestic student who studied internationally, and we get plenty of those students as well. So you would still apply, submit your transcripts if it's even from a school internationally, as well as SAT or ACT scores. And then we will take that into consideration. And you would still apply very similar to any other student. And we are able to look at international transcripts, even if you are a permanent resident or U.S. citizen.
Okay, great. And then the next question is, if I apply for a restricted major and do not qualify, will I be automatically considered for general admission?
So we don't consider for general admission for restricted majors. We consider for what I mentioned before as AOIs, areas of interest. So essentially it's a pre-major. So for example, pre-computer science or pre-biomedical engineering. For those students who fall just short of the criteria, but obviously show very strong grades and have all the other areas completed, but maybe they're missing calculus or physics, or the GPA isn't quite there, but they show a lot of promise. We consider those students for the pre-majors. But you wouldn't be automatically put into a general population, but we still do consider you for admission for sure.
Okay, great. And let's end on this one. We get this question a lot. I'm an average student. How can I stand out?
Sure. For students who feel like they're kind of like the middle ground with GPA and SAT or ACT scores, that's when we're really going to look into everything from your letters of recommendation, activities, the types of courses you've taken, if you've been challenging yourself, but not, you don't have to have 8,000 APs. We're really going to take everything in consideration, as well as, your essay, the way that you write, and if there's any other supplemental requirements that you want to submit, you're welcome to do so as well. But we're really going to look holistically at our students, especially if we're kind of like in that middle ground where they feel like kind of uncertain. And if we're unable to offer admission to a student for one reason or another, like I mentioned before, but I'm happy to reiterate, we have a fantastic transfer opportunity program here at Stony Brook. For those who want to come after only 1 year, you only need 24 credits completed with a minimum of a 2.8 to a 3.0 GPA. And if you wanted to complete a joint transfer program, if you were a local student in New York, you can attend a community college, especially if you are local to Long Island, at Suffolk or Nassau Community College, completing a 2-year degree there, and then transferring seamlessly to here at Stony Brook. So I hope that answered all your questions, and I'm sure you have plenty more, which is why we're always available at enroll@stonybrook.edu, or you can visit our admissions website at stonybrook.edu/admissions. And we are happy to answer any questions going forward, but I encourage you to join us for our future video chats. Our next one will be November 13th for international students and December 4th for our honors programs. Thanks, everybody.